Speak. Perfect. Well, first of all, I want to welcome everybody. We know it's a Friday night. We know there are lots of ways you can spend your Friday night. So we're grateful that you're here at the job fair Q&A for students. I just want to share again for that those who just started that we are recording this and that we have turned on the closed captioning. I want to introduce tonight's, can I say guest speaker, or I'm just going to say, we'll call it, person who has tons of information. She has lots of gold nuggets to share. Miss Washington, who is a partner of OSS. And for those of you, it's the Office of Student Services. I know a few of you we know. And she has been here for 17 plus years and has such an in-depth knowledge of the job fair. I think that we can all just, do well to listen to some of her wisdom, write notes. We're going to ask that you keep questions to the very end. And Miss Washington, I am going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dean Taylor. So welcome, everyone. Before we begin the Q&A, I would like to first remind all of you that are graduating that we are looking for a student speaker for convocation on May the 20th. The deadline to submit your speech is around the deadline is March 31st, and it's around the theme, "The time is right for social work." So please, I know on this call that we have right now, I know I see our student speaker for our May convocation. So please consider making a speech or writing a speech, sending it via the video. The links have been in the bulletin. And if you need additional information, you can reach out to OSS or you can reach out to SGA. Also, I want to let you know that the nominations are open for the clinical, the macro, the faculty, and the staff awards. So we need some nominations to come in so that we can have those students highlighted at graduation, as well as exemplary faculty that has been teaching you throughout your time here at the school. And the deadline for those nominations as well is March the 31st. Those links have also been in the bulletin. So please take advantage of that. And so I'll say good evening and welcome again to the upcoming graduates. You are almost there. You are almost at the finish line. And we hope you will find the job fair rewarding and this Q&A helpful. So I will provide an overview of the process and how to apply online for the fair. And Dean Taylor will be working alongside me behind the scenes. And you may find it beneficial to take notes because I will be providing a lot of information. At the conclusion of this presentation, we will have a Q&A session, as Dean Taylor indicated earlier. Please jot down your questions. And when that time comes, please use your virtual hand and Dean Taylor will acknowledge you. If we are unable to answer all of your questions within the time allotted, we will remain for an additional 15 minutes, or you can feel free to email student services and we can answer your questions that way as well. So I'm going to begin. And I'm going to go through 3 parts very quickly to allow more time for Q&A for you to ask any questions that you may have. But if you need me to slow down, just put it in the chat and Dean Taylor will give me a signal to slow down. So the first part of this overview that I'm going to give to you is to just let you know when the job fair is. I know you all know that the job fair is Wednesday, April the 6th, and it's from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. This is our second year hosting a virtual fair. So we have tried to improve some things that we did last year to try to make it better for the students this year. And this is one of the things that we are doing that we did not do the first year. Students felt like a Q&A would be beneficial to really understand and flesh out the process. So all of you, the May and July 2022 upcoming graduates are excused from field, but we ask that you please notify your field instructor. And this day will count as a field day. The job fair day will count as a field day. Now I have a question for you guys. We had a resume and an interview tips workshop with the University of Maryland campus, University of Maryland Medical System on Monday, okay? And there wasn't many students that participated on Monday, but there will be another resume and interview workshop on this upcoming Monday on the 14th. This time it will be held at 5 o'clock. That workshop was very, very helpful and beneficial. If you were unable to attend on this past Monday on March the 7th, if you could probably add it to your calendar, I think it would be very beneficial to you. And Dean Taylor has already gone on ahead and put the poll up on the screen, checking with how many students have an updated resume. So we have that information up on the screen. And now we also want to do another poll with the alumni resume review. The alumni office, you should have received multiple emails about the Career Corner, and the Career Corner has listed that the alumni department is available for you to submit your resume for them to review it for the job fair and for when you graduate. Okay, so we have that up there as well. And now we have the last poll, Dean Taylor, the alumni resume review. Okay. Okay, so I just want to say that those things that I just pointed out are very, very important. I see that no one on the call has taken advantage of the alumni resume review, and I'm not sure of the results from the other polls, but I definitely would advise if you haven't had someone to review your resume, please make sure you do that prior to the job fair, and don't delay, because before you know it, the job fair will be here. I see a hand up.
Ms. Washington, I was just going to text Brittany. Is there anything that I can help you with?
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I just wanted her to this is really great, but Miss Washington, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that last part about where the link is available for the alumni resume review? Is that in the career development tab? And I guess I would just reach out to alumni to try to review my resume.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, so you should have received yesterday another edition of the Career Corner was sent to all students. If you did not receive that, you can definitely go to the Career Development website, and that information should be there as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So moving right along, we invited over 1,000 agencies, and I'm sure you guys are probably looking like 1,000 agencies. Well, just to let you know, just to give you some back history on the job fair, in order for us to receive at least 10% or 80 agencies, we have to invite that many agencies. So this year, fortunately, we were able to secure 97 agencies. Woohoo! Out of that 1,000. And I know you may be thinking, wow, only 10% out of 1,000. But that's been the trend for years, that we have to invite a lot of agencies in order to just get 10% to come. Now, the unfortunate piece is that we have no control over who actually registers and who actually decides to come. The only thing that we were very intentional about, and we're intentional about this every year, is that the agencies that do register, we make sure that they are actually hiring. But whether they're clinical or macro, or whether they're from Maryland or DC or Virginia, unfortunately, we don't get to determine that. We just really focus on the agencies that are hiring, because we don't want students to complain afterwards to say, oh, wow, you invited agencies and they didn't have any jobs, Ms. Washington or Dean Taylor. So all of the agencies, the 97 agencies that will be participating, they all are hiring. And guess what? They are eager to meet you. So we hope you take advantage of this. This was not an easy process at all to get these agencies to agree to participate. So having all of the agencies available to you, I really hope you guys tap into it. So some of the agencies that will be participating are the FBI Victim Services Division, the University of Maryland Medical System, Catholic Charities, Shepherd Pratt, Baltimore City, Anne Arundel, Harford, and Talbot County Departments of Social Services. Those are just a few. You will receive a complete list of all of the agencies. As I stated before, most of the agencies that are participating this year, the majority are from Maryland. Normally, we may have a few from DC, which we do have this year. We have a few from DC, maybe 1 or 2 from West Virginia, maybe 1 or 2 from New Jersey, but the majority of the agencies that are participating will be from Maryland. And also the majority are clinical. So we have some that are clinical and macro. But each year, it seems like we tend to struggle with finding or securing macro agencies that are hiring to participate. So there will be some macro agencies, but I just want to be very transparent that the majority that will be participating are our clinical agencies. So the next part of the presentation is the process. So the agency profile booklet that we're currently working on, it will be sent to all of the May and July 2022 graduates next week. Please check your email because that information will be sent there. It will not be publicized on the website and at no other location. And the reason why we're not publicizing it in the Daily Bulletin or on the website is because this fair is strictly for our May and July 2022 graduates only. So those that are foundation students, if you happen to be on the call, you will have your time next year to participate in the fair and to apply. So we started this process a little earlier this year to allow more time for you to have to review the booklet. The unfortunate piece is that the job fair is the first Wednesday in April of every year, and spring break is like a few weeks before that. So there's a week time where you are off, where we know everyone, I'm sure, is just can't wait for the break, right? You are eager to go away and not be on a screen and not have to look at any books or anything. But what we would like for you to do, even though we understand that you are on spring break, we would encourage you to take time to review the booklet cover to cover for the many employment opportunities that are available. So we're sending it out to you next week. You'll have a few days next week. You'll have the week of spring break, and then you'll have the week of the 28th. We don't want you to delay and wait till the week of April the 4th, because remember that these agencies are not just looking at your resume and your application, but they're looking at all of the students that will be participating in the job fairs, resume and applications. In addition to the agency profile booklet that we will be sending you next week, you will also receive a link to the 10 ways to master a virtual career fair. And there are 10 items there, but I'm just going to list 5 of them for you just to kind of like throw this out so you can make a mental note of it. So the first thing is check your Wi-Fi connection. The second thing is set up your meeting environment, research the companies you would like to speak with, dress up as you would for any in-person career fair, and test your equipment and log in early. Those are just 5 of the tips, but you will get that link, and that link will have 10 ways to master a career fair. All of the agencies that are participating will be using different platforms to conduct their interviews. So once you apply online with the agency, they will respond to you and they will give you a specific time between 10 and 3 on the day of the fair, and they will tell you what link they're using. Some of the links that they indicated to us were Zoom, WebEx, Google Meet, etc. Okay, so moving on to the last part, which is how to apply online. Before I start to review those items there, I'm going to have Dean Taylor share her screen and to show you the booklet from last year. So this is the agency profile booklet that we created last year. And yes, if you could just scroll up a little bit, Dean Taylor. So if you look at this first, we're just going to focus on this first page. You see in the first column, it says agency contact information. Second column, how to apply. Third column, a description of the agency. Fourth column, the service, clinical or macro. The next column, full and part-time along with benefits, the salary range, and whether they offer supervision. So you want to review the entire booklet, but when you're applying online, the first thing you want to concentrate yourself to is how to apply. So each agency will have something different. So you're going to review the booklet. You're going to decide which agencies you are interested in applying with after you review the booklet cover to cover. And then you're going to go to that second column and you're going to click on that link, and that's going to take you directly to that agency's website or to an email for you to submit your application. So you must do that before the fair using the link how to apply that I just reviewed with you. Okay, the second step is after you do that and you apply online. Now, when you submit your application, you want to make sure that you include University of Maryland School of Social Work Job Fair. So that can tell the agencies that this is a student from the University of Maryland, and these are the individuals I will be interviewing with on April the 6th. So they will know, they probably will be getting applications from people all over, but you want to stand out because this fair is strictly just for University of Maryland School of Social Work students. So you make sure you include that on your application. After you have applied, the agencies will respond to you via email to confirm receipt of your application. If you do not hear anything from the agencies within 24 to 72 hours, reach out. And you're going to reach out to that first column where it has contact information. So where Dean Taylor is pointing, it says Kim Morrell, and you can see under there, there's a phone number and there's an email. I would advise you all to email the individual to follow up if you do not hear back from them with a date and time for your interview the day of the fair. Okay, step 3, I think I indicated previously that then they will send you a link. They will send you a link via Zoom, via Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, and that's the link that you will use the day of the fair for your preliminary interview. Okay, and then this is very, very important. So step 5 is review, which is the agency profile booklet that you're currently looking at on your screen, research the agencies that you are interested in, and finally respond. So the 3 R's: review, research, and respond. And we want you to have a wonderful day. And then after the job fair is over, you will receive a survey. So in order for us to, thank you, Dean Taylor. In order for us to try to improve the job fair each year, we want to know what went well, what didn't go so well. And if you have any hiccups or any problems with any of the agencies that are participating, please email Dean Taylor and myself, Student Services, so that we can know moving forward if that agency should continue to be included in our job fair. Okay. Let's see, what else do I have on my notes here to let you guys know about? So I indicated include on your application to make sure that it's you're applying from the University of Maryland School of Social Work. In addition, you want to include on your application if you have a date scheduled already for your licensing exam. I noticed that some students, when you're in your last semester, you can sit for the licensing exam. So if you already have a date secured for your licensing exam, when you apply online with the agency, that is something that they probably want to know. So you can include that date as to when you're going to sit for the exam. If you do not have a date and you don't plan on taking the exam until after you graduate or during the summer, you can just indicate that on your application as well. Because we know social work is a licensing profession, and some agencies will hire you conditionally, meaning they will hire you and give you, I don't know, 6 months, maybe. Some may even give you a year to get your license. So you just want to include that on your application to give them as much information about yourself as possible. Let's see. And then the next thing I have on my list is for you to apply as soon as possible. I do not want anyone to delay, because keep in mind, I think I said previously that they are reviewing several applications. And so if you wait until the last minute, we had some students last year that applied, I think like the day before, and then they did not hear back from the agency. So they were emailing Student Services to figure out, oh, I didn't get an interview. Well, you probably didn't get an interview because you waited until the last minute. So we don't want you to wait until the last minute. We want you to make sure to apply as early as you possibly can. And I know this may tie into your spring break, but if you are really interested in securing employment with one of the 97 agencies that will be participating in the fair, we encourage you not to delay and to make sure that you apply as soon as possible. Make sure you follow up and follow through, which is very important. And finally, I just indicated to you, don't wait until the week of April 4th, because your chances may be very slim for getting an interview. And that is my presentation regarding the job fair. I know I went very, very quick, but I really wanted to allow time for your questions. I also want to give you some additional information before we open the floor for questions, and that is pertaining to the Career Development Week. You probably have seen information about that. It's actually during your spring break, but they have a lot of good information, mock interviews, resume reviews as well. If you wanted to tap into that, that was included also in the Career Corner newsletter that Dean Schaefer sent out on yesterday. Also, you may want to also check our website for additional jobs. We have a new platform where agencies are able to post their positions online now with the school. We no longer are collecting the jobs through the WUFL form. We actually have a new platform. So you can check that as well. And another resource also is LinkedIn. So now, Dean Taylor, we can open the floor for questions for our Q&A session.
So thank you all for waiting until the end. I think we're going to start with those in the chat, and then I ask if you have a question, if you could please just raise your hand. And if you're not sure how to raise your hand, under the reactions, there's a little icon with a smiley face. I think we all probably know how to raise our hand, but I never want to assume anything. You just click on that and you will be given some options. One of them is raise a hand. So Miss Washington, we're going to start. I believe already the first question was answered. Where is the link and data for the resume seminar? So thank you, Lauren, for posting that. The next question, is there a resume prep seminar, or did I imagine that? Ms. Washington?
Yes. So I had mentioned that earlier, that on this past Monday, there was a resume and interview tips workshop done with the University of Maryland Medical System. And that was at 12 noon on Monday, but that was recorded, just as this presentation is recorded. And they are having another one on March the 14th. So this upcoming Monday, it will be at 5 o'clock. So if you received the Career Corner, you also should have been able to receive the link to the recording from this past Monday, or if you're available, you can participate on March 14th at 5 o'clock for another presentation by the University of Maryland Medical System. And also, as I indicated at the very end, that Career Development Week, they will be reviewing resumes, conducting mock interviews, etc. If you would like to tap into that as well.
Thank you. The next question is, do we have to register for the job fair?
No, you do not. The email will be sent to all of the prospective graduates, those of you that will be graduating in May and July. That email will go out to every student, along with the agency profile booklet that we shared and the link that I mentioned earlier.
And now to open it up to the floor. I think those were all the questions in the chat. Joshua.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I heard your answer about the resume workshop. I just want to make sure that I knew where to find that information.
So the information, did you receive the Career Corner on yesterday that Dean Schaefer sent out? I think it comes out like once a month, but I know she sent it out on yesterday.
Ms. Washington, I believe everyone sees it. It may, Joshua, have gone into your junk mail. You need to check that, but I know she sent it to everyone.
Okay. So it's so the date and the link, etc., for that is going to be in there?
Correct.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if you can't find it, I would suggest emailing Dean Schaefer, and I'll put her email in the chat, or one of your.
I can forward it to you, Joshua. If you send us your email, I'll forward it to you once this presentation is over.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. So next question, I see Dana, you have your,
I just
Okay,
have
John.
a couple questions. The other one is if we have class during the job fair, we can't go to the job fair, right?
So you may have logged on a little late, but everyone that is graduating in May or July, you are excused from Phil on April the 6th.
Right, but class, I have a class at that time.
You have a class on April the 6th from 10 to 3?
During that time, yeah.
Okay, we may have to talk after.
Josh,
um,
email, we put our student services, the link, our student services email. So email us afterwards about that. Typically, the first Wednesday of the month in April is held for job fair.
So there will not be class that day, most likely?
I can't speak to that. So if you can email us afterwards, we can answer your question.
Thank you.
Super. Did you have anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Next, Dana.
Thank you for the time. The two quick questions I have are, even if I'm in a place with Wi-Fi, technical glitches happen. Will there be an exchange of contact information in case somebody loses a call, drops, etc.? That way you can still connect if, let's say, a call drops, but like you're in the middle of speaking.
That's a good point, Dana. I would communicate that with the agencies that you're interviewing with. And I'm sure there's a possibility that that could happen. That could happen to any of us at any time, right? So I would just communicate what is the plan if they lose connection or if you lose connection.
Thank you. That makes sense. And then the second question is, if you have a test date after you graduate, because you're deliberately waiting to take the test after you graduate, mine's in the summer, should you still tell them?
I would let them know, only because most agencies, like I said earlier, social work is a licensed profession, and they're going to want to know if you have a date to sit for the exam or when your plans, what your
Okay.
plans are for sitting for the exam. So I would.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just as a gentle reminder, you may not call yourself a social worker until you take that exam. That's from our Board of Ethics. That's not from the school. So just being very cautious about that. So I'm sorry you're hearing my dogs. Brittany, I think you're up.
Yeah, so my question is that, what is the question? Oh yeah, so I know, Ms. Washington, you said to indicate on our application that, oh yeah, we're from the University of Maryland, job, oh yeah, that we're gonna be at the University of Maryland job fair. So where on our application will we include that? Like, would there be a specific place for that?
I'm not sure for each agency, but I'm
Okay.
sure there's going to be a section. I know last year, some of the agencies had indicated that they wanted the students to indicate that they were from the University of Maryland. So if for whatever reason there is not a place on the application for you to list that and or your date that you are planning to sit or when you're planning to sit for your licensing exam, you can also follow up with an email with the contact person.
Okay, and just say like, hey, I'm gonna be at the job. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I apologize, everybody. We can't control dogs or children. So now we're seeing real life. There was a question in the chat. So if you take it, and I'm assuming you mean the exam, the licensing exam, and pass before the job fair, can you call yourself a social worker? No, because you haven't graduated. Or do we have to wait until the degree is conferred and the exam is passed? So I see another question in the chat, and then Brittany, I'll get to you. Isn't it if you take any of the exam levels, if you take an LBSW, can't you call yourself a social worker? I'm not going to get into all the licensing things here. I'm just saying in general, you cannot call your social worker or self a social worker. You can graduate and then you are an MSW. And then when you take the exam, that's when you are a licensed social worker. And also just to share, Dean Schaefer, this is kind of on a side note, has plethora. There's lots of information about licensing. This is where we're going to ask. We need everybody to read those emails. Our heart goes out to you. We wish we could put what's in our head just through osmosis in your head, but the only way we can get it to you is through the emails. We get that you're spread thin, but especially for y'all who are graduating, this is where all of this really important, especially the next couple of months, for those who are doing the LEAP exam, all of those, the practice exam, all of those things, you get the information from either the daily bulletin, the career corner, or emails.
So are there any other questions regarding the job fair?
Let me see. I think I'm just looking at my notes. And so let me see.
Brittany, you just made my heart sing the fact that you're taking notes, right?
Yes, yeah, I'm trying to just so I remember all the information. So I guess, well, one of my questions, it's more, I know this is probably self-explanatory, but there's not a number of agencies that we're limited to apply to, like we can apply to as many as we want to.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then has this happened before where, let's say I apply to, let me say like 2 or 4 agencies, but they all want to see, let's say 2 of them is like, oh, are you available at 11 or can you, I don't know, scheduling conflicts, like, is that likely to happen? And I guess I would just contact the recruiter and say, hey, no, does that make sense? I'm sorry.
Absolutely. So if you have interviews already set up with one agency and another agency wants to set up an interview at that same time, then you just let them know you already have an interview scheduled. Can you do another time? And the agencies last year, they even, because some had so many students, they continued with interviews during the following week. And that very well may happen also again. And just to let you know, the steps that I indicated in this presentation, it will be included in the email that we're sending out to you. So I know I gave a lot of information at one time, but you will receive all of those steps in the email next week.
Ms. Washington, we have one more question. Is there a list of agencies participating?
Yes, so maybe that's someone that logged on a little late. So the agency profile booklet will be sent via email next week to all those students that are graduating in May and July.
And just to share, the reason we are keeping this agency profile booklet so close to our vest, I think that's the appropriate way, is because we want you, our graduating students, to have first crack at it. We get lots of requests for this booklet. It takes a lot of time to put together, but we don't want every person to have access. Y'all are going to get access first. Later on, we'll share it, but we're really careful about who gets it. That's why it will be emailed to you. And, we ask that you kind of, this is for our graduating students. And my one point too is that this is just a tool in your very large toolbox of opportunities. As Ms. Washington said, there's LinkedIn, there's lots of other places. I hope that you're all speaking with your field instructor about job opportunities. This is not just your one shot. So I want to just, mention that. Liam.
Did you say what day? I think you said in the next few days the booklet would be emailed. I don't think you mentioned the exact day, but I just wanted to see if you, just so I get a lot of emails, so I'm just.
And you're going to read a lot of emails, Liam. This is what we're going to start asking folks, right?
Yeah. So yes, I did not give a specific date because we are still in the process of pulling the booklet together. We tried to keep the opportunity open for as long as possible for agencies to register so that we could have just a large number of agencies for you. But then at some point we have to close it because we need to get the booklet to you in a timely fashion so that you can have time to read it cover to cover. So you will have it next week, probably I would say midweek. So check around Wednesday, Thursday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will say, and once again, like I said, our heart goes out with the emails, as many emails as you get. Multiply that times 100 Miss Washington is getting right now. And what you don't know is, I'm going to toot Miss Washington's horn for a second. The literal, I don't think she's sleeping right now. She is getting inundated with all of these folks from different places asking different questions. She stays in her professional lane, but this is from now until April, this is our focus. So we want you to know that we are doing everything that we can to get you guys amazing opportunities. So I
Yes,
think
and if I could add one more thing to what you just said, Dean Taylor. So I also want to let you know that because we had to close it at some point so that we could get the book prepared to send to you, we did have agencies that we had to turn away. So that's why I also mentioned to you to check the website, because I have referred all of those agencies that did not complete the interest form or did not complete the registration form in a timely fashion to the website to post their jobs. So you may want to use that as a resource as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, I had myself on mute. So I thought I saw a hand up with Holly, but forgive me, Jada, and then Dana.
It's not really a question. I just want to say I really appreciate this Q&A. I've never been to a virtual job fair before, so I was just like wondering what the environment is even like, because I had not applied to a job since pre-COVID. So I took a lot of notes and I thought this was very helpful, and I can't wait to get that booklet next week so I can go boggle my brain looking through all those agencies.
Thank you, Jada. We appreciate that.
Do it over a good cup of tea or maybe something stronger if you're over 21. But really, I know you didn't hear me say that. I know I'm being recorded. But really take your time. Remember, you're interviewing them, right? You are the talent. You are the Hope Diamond, right? I really want to say that. I know that as students, your sometimes knee-jerk reaction is to take the first job offered, but just think of yourself. You are precious. You offer such an amazing array of skills. So I really want to just put that in your brains. So, and Dana,
Yes,
I see
and once again, I'm sorry, Dean Taylor, but just to piggyback off of what Dean Taylor just said, at the resume review that they had this past Monday, the presenter indicated that. She said, they're not only interviewing you, but you're interviewing them as well. So that's why we want you to make sure you do your research. You review the booklet, you research, and then you respond. Okay, Dana, I think Dean Taylor was calling on you next.
I was also just going to say thank you, so I'm not going to repeat what Jada said, but the one thing that I appreciate the booklet and being given a heads up about that, because I will read it over break when I have more time. Is there a way we could thank the employers for their time to interview us? Would we contact the agency? Because I'm the type of person in person or virtual that likes to write a thank you card or a thank you letter, and I just didn't know how that was possible virtually.
Sure, I would definitely encourage you to, I don't know if you want to thank them all. If you have the time and you want to do that and you want to send out individual thank you cards or individual emails to the contact persons that are listed in the agency profile booklet, you're welcome to do that. Or if you just want to send a personal thank you to the agencies that you have decided to interview with, I think that is definitely appropriate.
Thank you for your time and thank you for the help.
You're welcome.
And David, just to say, traditionally after any interview, and having been a person who's hired many people, I know this is going to sound silly, ask for the work address, right? We don't ask for personal addresses. If you send a thank you note, you will be 1 in 1,000, a handwritten, I know this sounds old fashioned, but a handwritten thank you note, that many times for me was the deciding factor, because they usually email us a thank you, right? That's great. We all know you can cut and paste and email 1,000 people the same thing and whatever, but a handwritten note, I know you went out of your way. It's one of those gold nuggets. And I kept all my thank you notes. So just to give you another little edge, and sometimes it's like neck and neck, but that's something that I found for me, when I interviewed, it just showed me the type of person who that individual was. So. Ms. Washington, I don't think it says, do we have a URL? I'm sorry for that, or is it career development site? Joshua, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, that's for the overflow agency listings. The ones that did not make it into the booklet because there was not enough time.
That's on the university, the School of Social Work. If you put in, you know what, I'll put the link in the chat. Just give me a second. But just to share, all of this information, you all have been emailed, or it comes to you through the daily bulletin, or it comes to you. You're going to hear me say this over and over. Y'all got to read your emails. That's the only way we can get information to you. And there's some real important information coming. So yeah, I will put that in the chat. Just give me a second.
I think there was another question, Dean Taylor. What will the agenda or job fair look like that day? Schedule, or what will it look like? So the agency profile booklet that we will send you, probably each agency will conduct their interviews differently. So it just depends on who you choose to interview with on that day. But the email that we will send to you will have the list of steps that you have to take in order to apply. And then once you reach out to the agencies you're interested in interviewing with, they will give you like the agenda for the day. They will give you your time slot. They will provide you with your link for your preliminary interview. I hope that answered your question.
I see two more questions, Holly and then Brittany.
So I went to the job fair last year. It may have been the Shady Grove one, I don't remember honestly. But it was a little more of like a Q&A, learn about the agency. So it sounds like this is like, if you're not applying to a specific agency, you won't really be talking to them. Is that the case? It's like interviews, talking for people who have already applied, not as much finding out about the agency itself.
So all the agencies that are participating on the 6th, they all have been informed that our students are coming prepared with their resume in hand. They're going to dress for success, and they are expecting a preliminary interview. This is not a meet and greet. So if you encounter any agency that indicates that, please let us know. And just to let you know also, we are meeting with the agencies on the 18th. To give them an overview of what is expected from them as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, there was another person afterwards, but I can't remember who it was.
Oh, it was me.
Okay.
And no, I was just gonna say thank you, Miss Washington. You answered my question. I had the same question as the other student, just basically because I think I'm the last job fairs that I've been to and accustomed to as far as the layout is like coming in, you're meeting and greeting, talking to the agencies and and things like that. But I see the difference here is going to be that we're already kind of researching them beforehand, and then we're applying. And so the time we have for the job fair literally be for the preliminary interview. So that's a different layout than I'm used to, but that's totally okay. And I'm going to adapt. And this is good for me to know ahead of time because I had a totally different outlook of what it was going to be. So this is great. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. And as I stated before, if you encounter any of the agencies that will speak with you just as a meet and greet, please let us know. We are definitely going to let them know on the 18th to reiterate what we communicated via email. Sometimes, people don't always read exactly what we send out, but that's why we're doing a Q&A with the agencies as well, to let them know what their expectations are as well.
And to be honest, that is so much of the invisible pre-work that we did, those 1,000 agencies, and we're not exaggerating when I say 1,000. Like, we had a pre-interview, right? We only want people who are really hiring. I want to be clear about that. And that's why we're holding this booklet so close to us and only letting y'all see it first. Just because, this is for our graduating students. I see one more question. Any tips for politely saying to interviewers, I'm weighing my options, or if they ask, who else are you interviewing with?
So that is an opportunity. The resume workshop that was held on this past Monday, I would encourage you to participate either in the one that is coming up on this upcoming Monday on the 14th at 5 o'clock. They kind of like reviewed questions like that. And I think that would be a great space. And if you are unable to attend that on Monday, then I would check the person's name that is conducting that workshop on Monday, and you could email them directly with that question. And there was something else I was going to say, and I just lost it. it'll come back.
And then as a secret, always, you know, I say politeness goes a very long way, but come up with something ahead of time. If you feel like somebody's putting you on the spot, say, you know what, I really love this opportunity. I'll get back to you within 24 hours or something that's authentic to you, right? I'd like to just, you know, do a little thinking on this. Like come up with a phrase that you have in your head if there's something that makes you pause, right? Because that means there's something in your spidey sense, also giving yourself space.
Yes, and they will be informed of the number of agencies participating. So they really should be expecting you to explore your options, you know, and maybe not just take the first job. And also to let you know, students have been hired the day of the fair.
Yes.
So I just want to put that out to you as well. And also to let you know, if it had not been COVID, we would be in person. The job fair is normally held at the SNC Campus Center. This year, I don't know how we would have possibly been able to accommodate 97 at the campus center. One year we did have it in the ballrooms, and then we spread out downstairs on the first floor, and we even moved to the third floor. So maybe that's what we would have had to do, but that's how it would have been held pre-COVID.
I see Liam and then Abby.
So I thank you so much for answering all these questions. I'm going to ask one it's a little tangential, and you might just tell me to look elsewhere, but I hope it's okay. Other people might be interested too. So I know someone who, after getting her MSW, did a kind of postgraduate paid internship at a trauma institute to learn more. And I'm just wondering, since this is a job fair, this is probably not what that is about, but I'm curious where we would find out about opportunities like that.
So Ms. Wash.
Go ahead, Dean Taylor.
So no, this is not a fellowship or internship. This is employment. Those fellowships, so if you wanted a fellowship, if you wanted something like an internship like that. So for instance, every year, the government, we send this out in October, and it's really hard because we send it out like just as you're starting school. The federal government has a program where they actually look to hire graduates. You kind of do what they call a floating position in all of the different departments in the Department of Health and Human Service. And then after a year, I think they pay you about $47,000. And then after that year, then you get hired in the final place that you're appointed to. All of those, while we have the job site and we have Career Corner where some of those opportunities, that's up to you to look for. I also say this with much love and respect, even though we do all of this, we are not a job employment agency. We do this because we think this is so important to get you started. Liam, if you have any specific questions, email us. We will set up a time and we will go through that with you. I know I worked with 3 students this year who applied for that. So yeah, that's where the student services part comes in. And that's where we set up stuff and have very specific conversations. And I'm sorry, Ms. Washington.
Oh, no, you're fine, Dean Taylor. Also, Dana put something in the chat, Liam.
I saw that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Abby?
Yes, just quickly. So I applied to a job to see if like my resume was good. I know that's not the right way, but I wanted to see. And they had asked about like what my salary range would want to be. And I'm just wondering if you guys have a good idea of what a graduating MSW should be asked for. Because if I'm asked my worth, I'm going to say you're going to give me $1 billion because I'm worth $1 billion. But yeah, I just want to know if you guys had a range.
So it's interesting because Dean Taylor and I were just talking about this on yesterday, and I can't even remember the site we were on where we saw the median for social workers, which I believe was around $62,000, $63,000. But just for transparency, I don't know if the agencies that are participating in the job fair would start out that high without a license. Probably not. The range in the booklet, just for transparency, is anywhere from, we have the majority of the agencies that are participating. They start anywhere from 40 and they go up to 60 and above. So it really just depends on the agency you are applying for and probably that license will bump your salary up.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And also be very realistic about your experience. We have some people who are returning students who maybe, students who had a previous career. If you have your JD and now you're getting your MSW, that salary is going to look different than if you have your MSW and have never worked a day in your life, right? So being realistic, and that's where if you have questions, the alumni, in the career corner, you have lots of opportunity to talk to folks.
Yes, and I would also add, you are about to be advocates. So why not be a great advocate for yourself?
And listen, put what you honestly think and add 5,000 more. So if you honestly think 65,000, put 70. Now, if they say we're only hiring up to this point, right? Then there you go. But that 5,000, and this is just a personal note because I used to hire a lot of people, right? So if somebody said, oh, they're willing to come in at 65, right? And I said 60, because I'm always going to try to go lower. Well, that's what you in your head wanted. So these are these little tricks that you can do. So Joshua, I saw that you had your hand up. It just wanted to make sure.
Well, it might be something that people find interesting. So my field offered me a job the other day, pretty much, and they were like, "We pay 55 plus supervision and insurance and stuff like that, and we want to hire you instead of this woman that we just interviewed who was great." But it's sort of like, I don't know. I mean, then would you say go back to them and say 65?
Well,
I would also add, and then Dean Taylor can chime in. So the resume workshop on this past Monday, they discussed that as well. And so one of the things that the individual spoke about was the benefits, which it's not really just about your salary. It's also about the benefits package that they offer as well.
So you would ask for another 5.
So this is where you have to research the company. There are some places that I would, because let's say Catholic Charities, I know this is where you're looking at 990s. This is where you are going to have to do the work. We can't do it for you, so I can't tell you what to do. But looking at a nonprofit, let's say like YMCA, is very different than looking from a nonprofit that has maybe 5 people. So this is where you really are going to have to do, I mean, all nonprofits have to report what their top 10 board members make, right? And what their top 3 executives make. This is where you're going to do a little bit of footwork.
I just want to add that I'm not saying salary is not important, but in previous jobs, I've also asked about health insurance. I've also asked about 401ks. I've also asked about tuition remission and loan support. They may not give it. They straight up may tell you no. But if you're asking for a salary that you know they absolutely can't pay for, cool, make my premium lower. Give me healthcare options. Give me retirement options, because what offsets one can then benefit another long term.
Absolutely, Dana. Well said. It's not just about the dollars, but the benefit package matters also. Okay, Abby?
Yes, just another quick question. I was talking to a classmate and they were gonna ask their agencies, like who they're applying for, if they would pay for their licensing exam. Is that something that people do? Okay.
That was covered in the resume review as well on this past Monday.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, folks, I want to be mindful of time. It's 5:59. So Miss Washington and I are planning to stay afterwards, answer if there's any specific questions. But Miss Washington, thank you again. I mean, all of the hours and work that goes into this, I just would like to sing her praises a bit. this is a lot of invisible work. We do it every year with love and passion. And we hope, every year we get a little better, right? For the last 2 years, I mean, we've been doing a virtual job fair, just, on a lot of imagination. Let's just say that. So really, thank you, Ms. Washington, for facilitating this. Thank you all for coming and asking your questions. Like we said, the survey afterwards really informs us of how we make it better every year. So if you could really just share with your colleagues to complete that, also reading your emails, knowing when stuff is coming. We're in it to the end with you. The end is near. We're sending you all of our energy. You've got this. Yeah, I can only say this is great. So Ms. Washington, if there's anything else, otherwise I'm going to close the main workshop. I will stop the recordings and then we will just stay on a little after.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all for coming and participating. And once you receive the booklet, if you have questions, feel free to reach out and let us know.